great scientists realize that science is limited. And that's a hugely important thing. Richard Feynman, who also won the Nobel Prize in the States, he said almost the same thing. And it's hugely important. I think perhaps the best way of putting it is by someone who unusually is a hero of both Richard Dawkins and mine, and that's Sir Peter Medawar, who worked here. And he said, look, I'm paraphrasing, it's very easy to see that the natural sciences are limited. They cannot even answer the simple questions of a child. Where do I come from? Where am I going? And what is the meaning of my life? And that's absolutely right. They can't. And it's relatively easy to illustrate that. And there's a very interesting statement by a scientist, E.O. Wilson, brilliant entomologist, that he made, I think in 2009, where he said, we have Paleolithic emotions, medieval institutions, and godlike technology, and it's very dangerous.
Yes.
And then he goes on to say that until we answer the great questions that the philosophers used to deal with, he's not quite right on this, used to deal with, like, where do I come from? Where am I going? What's the meaning of life? We're on very thin ground. And he's seeing something, which I found very interesting for someone who's been a confirmed atheist for a long time. But that's absolutely right. Science is wonderful. It's given us all kinds of brilliant technology, but it's limited. And it can't answer the existential questions that are the most important questions. That unconscious assumption that revelation and reason are opposed to one another. And I say, and I use it to illustrate the previous thing, I talk about Aunt Matilda's cake. Now, Aunt Matilda's cake, I think, is something that is known by cricketers, but not this version of it. And that is, I imagine that she's made this cake and baked it. And she's very pleased with it. And we submit it to all Nobel Prize winners for analysis. And they give us physics, chemistry, biology, all of this. And we say, thank you very much for your 100-page treatises on this cake. Before you go, tell us why she made it. You physicists, well, I can't. I can tell you what it's made of, but not why she made it. In fact, none of them can tell us why she made it unless she reveals it. Now, it's good to think about revelation at the human level first, because when she reveals it by telling us, that doesn't shut our reason off. We use our reason to see if what she's talking about makes sense. So if she said, I've made it for my cousin Jane, and we know she has a cousin Jane, that makes perfect sense. And therefore, this argument that we get so much, the Bible claims to be revelation, but we believe in reason, that is a false apposition. You use reason on both methods of revelation that God has used, to bring it back to that. One is nature and the universe. The heavens declare the glory of God. You can read something off, but not a great deal, but that there is a God. But now, as to closer identification, God speaks and the Bible is a revelation, but it's not opposed to reason. We've got to use our reason even to read it and to understand it. And I think that's really important because of this apposition that's been forced on so many people. They think that once you use the revelation word, you have jumped over reason and you're negating it. No, you're not.